Have you ever stopped to think about just how critical your digital identity is? Every login, every password, every moment you interact online, there's a lot going on behind the scenes to keep your identity safe. But as a business leader or an IT professional, the stakes get even higher. How do you securely manage thousands or even millions of customer identities without sacrificing user experience? That's one of the main challenges we're going to unpack in today's episode of the SourceForge podcast. I'm your host, Bo Hamilton, senior editor and multimedia producer here at SourceForge, the world's most visited software comparison site where B2B software buyers compare and find business software solutions. Today, I've got Rakesh Soni, founder and CEO of LoginRadius. With me, Rakesh he saw the identity management problem early on, and he built LoginRadius not just to address today's challenges, but to anticipate tomorrow's threats. So we're going to get into LoginRadius's journey. We're going to understand why identity management is such a hot topic in cybersecurity right now. And we're going to explore what the future might hold, passwordless authentication and multi-factor security, zero trust. Those are just some of the buzzwords right now. If you're curious about, what's changing in identity security, how it impacts businesses across different sectors, or, you just want some straight talk about what companies might be overlooking, I think you should stick around. This is going to be a good one. So we have a lot to talk about today. I want to get right into it. Rakesh, welcome to the podcast. Glad you could join us.
Hi, both. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. So I just want to get right into it. For listeners who may not be super familiar with LoginRadius, can you provide a brief introduction and share with us its mission within the identity and access management sector?
Yeah, definitely. So LoginRadius is fundamentally an enterprise software as a service company. And what we do is we help our customers manage their end users' identity. The identity and access management is a broader term for the space. And within that, there are two kind of categories of product available. One is internal identity management, where the workforce and employee-related identity products are. We don't do any of that. On the other side is external identities. These are the identities which are outside the organizations. And that's the space we fundamentally play in. And our platform is called Customer Identity and Access Management, which supports the use case of end user identity management. Companies have millions of users who are signing up, onboarding, and accessing their portals. And then we also have a second platform within the same segment we call Partner IAM, Partner Identity and Access Management, that fundamentally supports all sort of B2B use cases with companies have a bunch of partners or B2B customers. And that's what we do as a company. Our fundamentally mission is that we really want to solve this customer login problem for our customers. There's a lot of pain around security, privacy, engineering challenge. And our mission is that how we offer a secure and privacy compliant login experiences for both B2C and B2B organization. That's the mission we are on, and that's how we build our company and the product around, the external identity use case.
That's great. Now, can you, just to reiterate the two platforms you mentioned, can you just explain, your core products and services, just to kind of help us get a really concrete understanding of your product and what you offer?
Yeah, definitely. So let me kind of start in the layman language first, right? So when you go to a website or mobile app, they ask you to log in. And for that, you need to create sign up, right? So the sign up, the login. So we fundamentally are the login company, which is taking care of all the login functions, right? So there are two kind of scenarios here, B2B or B2C. Now, when you go to a website, they need to ask you to sign up. So we handle all the sign up process, your email verifications or Facebook login, Google login, and whatever method of login customer want to offer. And once you create an account, then you can authenticate. Once you authenticated, then we kind of secure your account. We kind of gather the data. We make sure that everything is privacy compliant. We secure the backend data. We provide the backend infrastructure to run the login function. And then we provide additional layer of security through, for example, risk-based authentication, multi-factor authentication, adaptive authentication, board protection, protecting from account takeover, and so on. And then finally, you log out and we kill the session. So we kind of provide this end-to-end identity management, particularly for external identities, which falls under two categories again, the customer identity and partner identity. Customer identity we call primarily for B2C companies, where they have tens and even hundreds of millions of users. So that's customer IAM platform. And for B2B company, we call that as a partner. So those are partner identities, and that's called partner identity and access management platform.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for painting that picture, because I've got a surface level understanding, but now that you kind of laid out the visuals of everything and how it all works and is broken down, that's helpful. I appreciate that. So now, are there any certain industries or sectors that benefit more from your solutions, or is it more of just really any enterprise with an online presence is able to be compatible?
Yeah, like fundamentally, when you think about the login function, right? Like login is fundamentally login. Whether you are logging into your bank account or you're logging into your media streaming like Netflix, or you're maybe paying parking fine at the municipality. So login is fundamentally login. Because of that, we build our platform very horizontal, serving all sort of, industries. However, for specific industry use cases, we might have some specific features or security compliances or privacy compliances. But the core platform is a very horizontal in nature, and can serve all sort of industries. Plus, our platform is deployed across, I think around 20 regions in the world. So even if you are a customer out of, say, APAC or Europe or Australia, we can still serve you. So we are pretty global in reach and how we deliver services to end user as well as our business clients.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of the many things I love about software and the software industry at large. It's just it transcends boundaries, and you have to work with all these different clients from all over the world. But you also obviously tackle a lot of the same challenges and problems. It's not just we all face these challenges. It's not just particular to a particular geographic location or something, right?
Yeah, in our case, both, there's one more challenge happens is that because we are dealing with the security and privacy, and once you talk about the privacy, then every country or the region might have their own privacy laws, right? So in our case, it's not just delivering the services in, let's say, APAC region, Hong Kong, for example, or maybe Australia or European Union, but then there is a data residency requirement. The data need to reside within the country. They need to follow, say, the local regulation in case of Europe, say GDPR, right? In case of California, CCPA. So it kind of adds that additional layer of complexity, which is fine for us because we solve this problem for our customers as well. They don't need to worry about the data residency, and that's why we deployed across so many regions in the world.
Right. Yeah. They come to you with the kind of the issue, and you have to work around it. I imagine that does get pretty complex, right? Especially, in the US, like you mentioned, we have the CCPA, the California's law that kind of it's sort of in place of the lack of a federal data privacy regulation. So you kind of you see businesses adopt it because of to kind of future proof themselves in a way, right?
Yeah, it's kind of becoming very fundamental requirement. It's another main pain point for the businesses, like how I comply with all these privacy regulations now, right? So our platform has all these built-in capabilities that they don't need to worry about that part.
Now, how long have you guys been in business?
That's an interesting question. So I'm a developer myself. I started the company as a social login provider, like offering Facebook login, Google login, Twitter login. That's what that said. In 2013 fundamentally. But then we evolved to become what we do today in 2017.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's neat. You have the hands-on developer experience too. With what you're doing, that's huge. And a lot of times you have that divide of the CEO kind of having the business experience, but not necessarily like the technical experience. So it's nice to hear that you have both of those. You check both of those boxes, right?
Yeah. I'm an engineer by trade fundamentally. So I truly care about the developers and how we build our platform, and they are like the real user when it comes to implementing the solution. Once they're implemented, then only those hundreds of millions of end users can log in. So for us, that's a very important link to really distribute and deliver our services to the end users.
Now you've been in the game. So you said since around 2013, you've been in the game for almost a decade and a half now. working to tackle this problem, bolster enterprise authentication and authorization. You've obviously weathered the COVID storm and sort of the cause and effect rise in remote work that ensued. Can you talk about just how you evolved to meet the shifting needs of businesses over the years since your founding, since 2013?
Yeah, definitely. So evolution is, I think, one of my kind of fundamental principle, which I apply on my personal life too, that you keep kind of learning and evolving yourself. You cannot be static, like that. So when I started the company in 13, I said I was fundamentally a social login widget company where we were targeting developers and they can just add the JavaScript widget from us to add their Facebook login, Google login, and LinkedIn login, and so on. And as we saw those customers a few years in, we realized that this is just solving a piece of the puzzle. It's not truly solving the full identity problem. So that was kind of first big evolution for us. Is like, we really need to solve this customer identity and access management instead of just offering simple social login. And that's how we pivoted the company, which we are today, in 2017. And that's when we started really growing. Now, what's happening is the technology itself evolves very fast, as all we know. But in identity, there are a lot of factors which are evolving very quickly, right? So the privacy we briefly touched on, every countries keep coming up with new privacy laws or revising the privacy laws. So there's a evolving nature of that component for offering. The second, the security, right? So it's security as an industry is like you try to upgrade your security and then this bad actor is going to come up with something else and then keep going up. So that keeps going up. So we as a company make sure that our capabilities and how we secure the customer's data and accounts, we constantly innovating on the third front, right? And the thirdly, the identity as itself is evolving a lot. It used to be standard username, password. Then the social media login came in. Then the phone method start kicking in where you send the OTP. Then the passwordless came in. Then all these face authentication and voice-based authentication coming in. And then passkey is getting popular now. And then now we're already talking about the AI agents want to log in. So the identity itself is evolving very quickly. So we as a company and we as a team are constantly evolving ourselves to make sure that we are meeting all these challenges our customers face ahead of the time so that they don't need to wait for, all the challenges. We already have the solution in the place for them. And then they just come and enable those capabilities on our platform.
Yeah, you really have that cat and mouse game with what you're trying to implement and tackle. You mentioned the changing technology, and I mean AI is all the rage right now. But specifically in your industry, and I guess the greater software security industry is, you have this zero trust security where nothing is trusted and verification is always required. There's also the just increased adoption of passkeys and the move to this like passwordless future where you have things like magic links and biometrics are being used. What are some of the trends currently shaping the sector that you're tracking and helping companies manage?
Yeah, I think the two major the trend I'm seeing, other than the AI, which we can talk a little bit later. But the two is, one is the passkey adoption is really picking up now, right? So passkey has been in conversation a lot, but last couple of years particularly. But now, say, all the big services, like say Google, for example, is offering passkey, right? So the passkey is getting, like Google sort of companies, they're already educating the mass population about the passkeys benefit and how to use it, right? So the consumer are really kind of start adopting passkey and they start liking it. And then what's happening that they are building the pressure on all other companies because now their expectation is shifting, right? So more and more companies are now adopting passkey and start offering this as an option for the customers to sign up and all log in, and makes life so much easy, especially around the forgotten password challenge, impact the engagement and user return rate and so on. So that's one of the big trend, definitely picked up in last 12 months. The second major trend in last 12 months start picking up is that companies start realizing that for the B2B use case, the workforce identity product doesn't really fit in. Right? So they're looking for a specialized solution to handle the B2B identities. For example, a pharma company, might have 500 hospitals, and within those 500 hospitals, there's hundreds of nurses and doctors in each, right? So that the typical workforce identity doesn't fit in nicely there. And then even the customer identity B2C use case doesn't truly fit in there either. So there is evolving this new category of IAM, which I already touched on, is partner IAM. And that's another big one. All these companies are trying to streamline their partner login and identity management.
Well, and that comes with its own set of challenges, right? Because I mean, when you talk about it, it sounds pretty simple to maybe adopt some of these passkeys solutions and kind of move towards this passwordless future that the industry's been talking about for years and years now. But in reality, it has challenges like resistance from users and employees, or maybe it's just the technical complexity, maybe especially for like older companies relying on legacy systems and apps. What are some of the biggest challenges you see businesses face when trying to adopt some of these solutions? What are you trying to do to just kind of help them mitigate this?
Yeah, I mean, this is a good question. So, like, I'm going to focus more on the external identity because we don't do anything about the employees and workforce. So in the external identity, the good news is that it's a very decentralized system. That means the user decides, right? In employee identity, the company decides and employee doesn't have a choice, right? But in external identity is mostly the decentralized model. So even if a business wants to offer a passkey, so they give multiple choices to the user. You can use standard username, password login. You might log in with your Facebook. You might have a simple, OTP-based passwordless or passkey, right? So they're not really forcing a user. Now, say 10% population love passkey. So then 10% people start using passkey in that case. So in terms of like the only challenge is really, building and adding those capabilities, especially if you have in-house team and doing all the login stuff, right? That's a painful process. But if there are customers like using platform like LoginRadius, then you just go and quickly enable the passkey and you can go live within a couple of days, for example, max. And then whoever want to choose, they can choose. Now, depends upon the demography of your user base. If you are targeting, say, 50 plus age group, maybe that's not the best option, for example, right? So it's all depends on what's your customer segment, right? But offering multiple choices in how you can log in and sign up, that's good and that's easy, and it doesn't pose much challenges on the external identity side. However, on the workforce and employee, there could be different challenges. And again, I'm not very expert on that segment, so.
Well, and then I think there's just a lot of there's a slight learning curve. With any sort of login or new sort of password type of interface, there's a little bit of a learning curve. And like you mentioned, there's different demographics that have more experience, online experience, and are more accustomed and able to handle some of these changes. Like you mentioned, the 50 plus and older crowd might be a little bit more resistant to change. I think you also start to see similar resistance to maybe some of the Gen Z crowd or something who are, they just want to log in as quickly as possible. They don't want to have to like go through all these different extra hoops. I think ultimately a lot of these solutions you mentioned are more efficient and quicker. I think it's just, again, trying to get the message out and like educating people like, hey, this is not only, a safer method, but also you should be able to log in faster, right?
And that's what the big companies like Google, right? They are educating the mass population. The more education about, say, passkey or the new methods of authentication will get popular, then the adoption gonna go across the industries, right? It's just the end user education and making that comfortable to use those methods is the big thing.
And I imagine you get a lot of feedback, but I think a lot of the feedback, I would assume, it comes in the form of sort of no news is good news, right? Where if there's no security lapse, there's no breach, there's no intrusion or data leak, you're doing a good job. But I'm curious if you have any like maybe specific examples or success stories where you've worked with clients to improve their security or operational efficiency, and have shared some feedback with you, whether it's just all positive feedback or maybe constructive criticism. Do you have anything that kind of comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely talk about it. There are a bunch of case studies on our website. If somebody's interested, you guys can go and check it out and download and read more about it. But we are clearly seeing, benefits of the cloud-based SIM platform across, all our customer base. Definitely, different industries have different benefits and how they use it, and their kind of the top metrics might be different, right? So let me give you some example. Say in case of retail and e-commerce, we are seeing almost doubling the conversion rate. Because now the sign up, the login experience, the people want to return, it becomes so simple and easy. And we are seeing, a reduced in the password, reset ticket by even 67% once they adopt the social login and passwordless login methods. And then we're also seeing with our advanced security around accounts, especially like MFA and risk-based authentication, the fraud attempts has gone down to even 20%, 21%, something like that. So another, for example, in media industry, we are noticing, especially the media streaming industry, that a lot of companies struggle to handle the large volume of the user coming within, say, a short period of time. Say a million user want to log in within a minute, right? So that's a very painful, and system breaks. In our case, we are able to help the customers quickly handle those peak load scenarios. So your system doesn't break. That means the end user experience is like smooth. They don't have any issue. And this all itself saves so much time. And then the engineering team's time and the resources and the impact upon your or revenue. Another, for example, is the utility companies. They have some legacy, login system or broken system. Once they deploy our, solution, they see a significant, cost cutting on the tech support workload as well as the paper billing, because all this customer want to go paperless billing. So all their monthly mails goes out about their billings and paper cost and so on. So they see a huge kind of operational, cost saving over there. And then, let's say B2B companies, mostly like SaaS companies, when their login system has issues, let's say I close a B2B client, now to onboard them, if it takes a week or 2 weeks and the customers struggle, it's just a loss of revenue, right? It's impact on your customer satisfaction. So our platform kind of provide the full onboarding experience, capabilities the B2B SaaS companies can deploy on their platform.
Oh, that's great to see. Yeah, see and hear about all the different ripple effects of sort of enhancing your authentication and authorization. And like just the doubling of the conversion rate is a big one, right? Especially in kind of our industry with the B2B marketing and software space is like that's what it's all about. And something is you wouldn't necessarily think about conversion rates doubling from implementing some of your solutions necessarily, but it's nice to hear that's a outcome.
Yeah, I think the one beauty of our platform or nature of our solution is that typically the IAM is considered as a cost center, IT cost center, because typically it has been about the employee and workforce, right? Now, once we came up with this, the new category of customer IAM, a customer is all about the revenue, right? So our solution is more close to the revenue center than to the cost center. And by building a high quality modern customer experience to onboard and to log in, that has a clear impact on your revenue metrics.
Now, can you talk about some of the ways you're continuing to sort of push the boundaries of innovation in this sector? I know you mentioned some of them already, but I'm just curious, like what are some ways you're continuing to innovate in the space and just stay ahead of tomorrow's threats, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned, right, like the we as an industry and we as a company, we have to constantly evolve because the security segment is evolving, the privacy segment is evolving, the identity segment is evolving, and the technology as a whole overall is evolving, right? So we spend a lot of time with our customers on the market research. We spend a lot of time with analyst firms and constantly like observing and understanding what's happening, what challenges they're facing, and how we can really solve and come up with some great solutions, right? And that's where we continue doing it. One of the recent big one, as I already talked about, the Partner Iron was a big launch for us as a company because all these companies have been struggling managing B2B identities. So that was a big one. We invested a lot of time and resources and finally launched a very modern platform specialized for B2B identities. Another big one is around the security where we launched this risk-based authentication, adaptive authentication model, and now we bring in some AI capabilities where the AI can more intelligently detect the anomalies in the user's activity and treat it as that second factor authentication to make sure their accounts are secure and nobody's really kind of breaching their privacy either, right? So that's another big one. For example, we're heavily working on our AI roadmap, where as you know, the AI is evolving so fast in the last couple of years, but the AI agents is the big thing coming up. And our customers need to allow AI agents to log in and access that information, right? So how agents can sign up, how they can log in, how the clients can authorize them to access. Maybe they want to put a paywall to the AI agent so that the AI agents need to pay every time they need to access certain information because a lot of companies want to monetize their content. So there are a lot of use cases and scenarios that are coming up on the AI. And that's one of the big areas we are investing in and building the solution for the market to truly serve them. Again, things are evolving so fast that I won't say whatever we launch is going to be like perfect, but we are making sure that we are also evolving very fast to the market.
Right. You gotta take kind of a cautious approach when you're dealing with these important areas that could, really make or break a business. Right. You can't just roll everything out all at once. What can you talk about? What kind of AI features and products or services do you have currently available, and what's like right around the corner?
We have kind of one big area I already talk about is how we authenticate and authorize the AI agents. That's in the roadmap. We are doing a lot of R&D. Everybody's trying to figure it out. It's not kind of hugely required right away, but the way exponentially the AI agents and AI market is evolving, we believe within 12 months, a lot of companies will require that. Now, while we are working on that part, another big areas we are working is like how we really use AI to serve our customers, to serve the end users, right? So the first thing we're really focusing on is the developer experience, how we can make sure the developers truly kind of see our platform, much easierly, use it and implement it, right? So we deployed AI, search capability within our developer docs. So now, it's not standard search, but AI is getting you the right answer. The second is we have an AI bot, helping you provide the real-time support right there. Instead of you going reading the document, searching the answer in the document, you can just talk to the AI and then AI is gonna, answer the questions, right? And the third one we are building is the AI Copilot. So for the developers, if they want to implement it, so they go to their Visual Studio or Cursor and they can just instruct, hey, you integrate the LoginRadius authentication. So then now they don't even need to go through all our docs and SDKs and API. The AI, can really quickly integrate, authentication services from LoginRadius quickly in their platform. So that's where some pieces are already live, more coming up soon. The another big area we are working on is that developers, when they need to implement, they really need to build this login page. Login page still requires, few days and weeks of work to work with the designer, work with the marketing team and content, and then do the right coding and making it mobile responsive and so on. So what we are doing is that you just provide the detail about your brand name, say Nike.com, and that's it. And then our system will automatically fetch all the information from the web, and then it will create beautiful login pages, sign up pages, MFA pages, and all those pages, and email templates and all the content, whether this content is in English or French and so on. So all those capabilities will be, within like 30 seconds, 1 minute, you can have all those pages ready instead of, internally working with your team for a couple of weeks and getting them done, for example. Similarly, we are bringing a lot of AI capabilities in our analytics, platform. We are bringing AI in our MFA model, how intelligently we can detect the anomalies and provide the security. So these are some of the pieces we are working on.
So yeah, one thing that really stood out in your answer is just how your focus on on developers, right? And just making sure that they're well equipped and like the foundation for everything that you build out. And I think that kind of goes with what your background, being an engineer first and kind of CEO second, in the sense of you have that really technical expertise. I think that's really important, though, especially with what you guys are tackling and trying to accomplish here. Is that something that you notice maybe competitors are getting wrong? I'm just curious. Like, obviously, you have a lot of there's a lot of other competitors in the space kind of trying to sort of tackle some of these challenges you're concerned with. What would you say they're getting wrong that you're maybe determined to do differently? I feel like a lot of it has to do with maybe some of the developer approach and stance you have, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this is one big area where we and some other competition too actually are really making sure that platform is built for the developers. We're really serving the developers because those are the ones who are really implementing our solution within their products and websites and mobile apps, whatever they have, right? So making it super easy and to understand and implement is very important. That differentiate us versus a lot of other competition, where they're like some of them are like SAPs of customer identity and access management, where they're like super legacy. Not only like their architecture and how this is built, but how they serve the documentation, their dashboard, and their SDKs and their APIs. So that's definitely a big differentiation. And then we are doing some things really right versus many competition. Not all of them. There are a few are solid like us in the marketplace too. Another big areas where a lot of our competition are not doing right is that they're trying to, take the workforce and employee identity management system and try to fit into this customer identity and access management or partner identity and access management. As I spoke briefly, the employee identity management is a very centralized system where the employer controls everything. The customer identity is a very decentralized system where the consumer controls where they're logging in from, which device, which location, which website they want to log in, whether they want to create an account or not, whether they want to delete the account. It's a very decentralized system, right? So they try to fit into the centralized system into this decentralized system, and that's where it breaks and fails. So that's another areas where a lot of our competition are doing, wrong. The third big areas I'm also seeing is that a lot of these larger, player in our space, they actually outsource the customer support and implementation to third parties, right? While in our case, we offer 24/7, 365 days in-house support by our own experts. That makes a huge difference when it comes to the implementation time. In our case, the service can go live within few weeks versus our competitions might take 6 months, 9 months, even 12 months, because now you need to spend $500,000 on this third party to implement the service, number one. And even after implementation, you need to wait for high quality support and resolution for weeks even. In our case, response happens within 30 minutes, most of the cases, but even the resolution can happen within few hours instead of waiting for weeks and weeks to resolve your technical issues, right? So that's the third big areas where we see some of our competition not doing right. And the fourthly, we are noticing that some of our competition have gone through some security breaches. Okay. And, we pay utmost, importance to the security and the data and the privacy and the account security, right? While somehow a large player, even, they have gone through some security breaches. And I'm not sure why, but that clearly shows that security is not the highest priority for those organizations. I think that's not right.
Well, the third point you made about just having an in-house support team, I think is huge, right? Because not only do you have this sort of move towards automate everything, get rid of your, put less of an emphasis on your support, customer support, because of this AI wave we're going through. I think it's still important to have that sort of human connection, but also have somebody from your team that actually really knows firsthand, like how to use it, how you can kind of help companies adopt it. I think that, again, just improves the efficiency. And like at the end of the day, the AI, like that's what AI is supposed to be doing, is just helping making everything more efficient. So it's kind of like one step forward, two steps back, so to speak. If you're cutting some of these customer support lines of channels. That's interesting. That's really I think there's a lot of insights there for maybe competitors listening to this podcast right now who are looking for advice.
Yeah, I think that this customer identity management is a very mission critical product, right? Because even if your login system is down for 2 minutes, it's a broken experience, right? If there's some other issues with your login system, and if you're dealing with like hundreds of millions of users, every minute you're affecting thousands and thousands of users, right? So, and now if your support system is not in-house, now you're relying on third party, they probably reach out to the vendor or they don't know the answer. They might be working with 3 other vendors for support. I don't know. It adds up so much pain for the customers and it's not worth it.
Now, Rakesh, you've shared a ton of great insights with us about your company and the identity management sector. If you could summarize LoginRadius's value proposition for businesses in, maybe 1 or 2 sentences or so, it just maybe summarizing what you talked about today and leave us with a lasting takeaway message. What might that be? Like, what is your value proposition?
Yeah, so our core value statement I can say is that we help our customers free up their engineering team from all things customer login and drive more revenue. So we solve for their engineering group so they don't need to worry about the customer login because we offer end-to-end complete solution. And then because we're helping them build this modern login experience, there's an immediate impact on the revenue they can see.
Wonderful. Now, again, I don't want to put you too much, on the spot too much here, but I've talked with enough leaders and business professionals like yourself to gather that you want to have the opportunity to tell potential customers one big thing, kind of like you're shouting it from the rooftops, or if prospects only knew this. If you had one big message that you could tell potential customers listening right now, what might that be?
I would say, stop treating customer identity as a necessary evil, right? It's not like something you really need to do, right? But think of this as your biggest untapped revenue opportunity. As I mentioned already, companies that really get the identity right, they see 20 to 30% higher customer lifetime value because this of seamless and secure experience fundamentally drives the engagement and loyalty of the customers.
Yeah, that's great. You have all those different ripple effects. You have the increasing conversion rates, and it just there's a lot of downstream effects from putting a heavier focus on this problem. So that's great. Amazing. All right. Well, where can business leaders and IT professionals go to maybe learn more about LoginRadius or just get in touch with you and your team? I also know, not to, keep throwing questions your way, but I heard that you might have a book being published. Can you talk about that briefly before we sign off?
Yeah, definitely. But first part of your question, anybody want to learn about our platform, go to our website, www.loginradius.com. For developers, I highly recommend you guys, sign up for free plan or free trial and get full access to our platform. We have a detailed documentation, GitHub libraries, SDKs, all the resources and tools you need to really kind of learn our platform. And everybody else on our website, there's no resources, there's ebooks, product sheets, guides, best practices, industry reports, case studies, and so on. You guys can download and learn more about SIAM or LoginRadius itself. Now, yes, Bo, that's one of the thing I was working for last few years is that I wanted to put together my 10 plus of years experience in CIAM market and put into a book. And after working few years, the book is finally ready. And we're officially launching it in next month, July. And, will be available through our website, loginradius.com. We'll find some link. Will be available on Amazon, but I particularly written this for business leaders who truly want to learn about CIAM and really want to figure out their CIAM strategy to, drive the revenue and improve the customer experience.
That's super exciting. So July 8th, you can order The Power of Digital Identity, right? That's what the book's called?
Yes. The book's name is The Power of Digital Identity.
Amazing. That's super cool. I think that's just a life goal for myself, or I think for a lot of people, right? To just write a book summarizing on everything, all your life experience that led you up to this point. I think that's really cool. Well, I'm excited for that. I will have to pre-order it right after we sign off here and look forward to it. All right. Well, thank you, Rakesh. That's Rakesh Soni, founder and CEO of LoginRadius. Thanks again for all the insights. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Bo. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to the SourceForge podcast. I'm your host, Bo Hamilton. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all of our upcoming B2B software related podcasts. I will talk to you in the next one.